Welcome to another action-packed episode of Mind Protein TV. I'm Ralph Plum.
And I'm Konrad Spielnikov. We're back in the studio.
Back in the studio. Hey, in our first segment today, we're going to talk about email marketing lists and the different metrics that are associated with it.
All right, and then we're going to go into our lights on, lights off section, and we're going to talk about using different email service providers to market to your list.
Okay. And then finishing up in the Get Off Your Ass segment, we're going to talk about what you need to do to understand your metrics and make sure you have a great email marketing campaign and you're getting it done.
Get it going.
All right, in our first segment here today, we're going to talk about email marketing campaigns and more specifically the metrics that are associated with email marketing. So, Konrad, when you're thinking about our email marketing strategies, which is a big part of what we do to generate revenue in our business, what's the most important metric that you look at on a weekly basis?
Well, you want to know, first of all, open rates, right? You want to see how many people are actually opening your emails. You know, it's very important, you know, whether you're spending money on actually acquiring new customers, etc. You want to know how effective those are. And, you know, so many people talk about how big their list is, etc. But honestly, it doesn't matter if people are not actually opening your emails. So you want to know what those open rates are.
Yeah. And the next thing that's important, too, is email stabilization. Well, people are like, what the heck does that mean? That essentially means if you look at, and if you've ever tracked metrics, you notice when you first send out an email, it'll explode and you'll get a large number of people that'll open the email immediately. And then it'll slowly trickle down to when people stop opening it. And that's what the email stabilization rate, the rate at which your people are opening the email as soon as you send it versus when it starts stabling out and then people don't open it up as frequently anymore.
Sure. I mean, it's very important to have an understanding of what is happening. You know, so you know when to send those emails, you know, what hours, etc. And then also just in terms of frequency of how often you communicate with your list.
Exactly. The next thing we're going to talk about is click rate. So what's a click rate? Obviously, if you're sending out an email, you're going to want to provide information, but you're also going to want to drive traffic to a site, to an offer, or to one of your social media profiles or something. So we call those click rates, the rate at which people are going to click through and not just read the email, but click something and drive to a particular area that you're looking to bring your audience to.
Absolutely, and it's probably the next most important metric. And this one is more really on you and how you write copy. You know, one method that we like to use in our email marketing is actually to give a preview of what it is that they're about to see or learn about, you know, from the communication that you're sending out. But really, the essence, you know, the meat of the information will actually appear on the website itself. So this way you get an additional benefit, not only of communicating your message, but also driving people to your site. So, you know, so they get exposed to, you know, to other things that you have to offer. And
that's what we're talking, when he's talking about click-throughs and he's talking about making sure you deliver some content in the email when you're trying to drive traffic to a particular location on your site or to an offer. The other thing is make sure you're sending out some content emails. If you're sending out just complete offers, you're going to see your click rates just absolutely tank. Make sure, so you have some stable and consistent click rates, that you're sending out some good quality content to your list. That way you ensure good click rates in future emails.
Yeah, I actually have a good little tip for you also. Any sort of images or, you know, especially previews of a video they may be seeing on the inside. So having that included in your email will help you with your open rates and click-through rates. More importantly, click-through rates rather in your email when somebody actually anticipates a video being on the inside.
And the final metric we're going to talk to today is bounce rate. So what is a bounce rate? Bounce rate essentially is the rate at which an email gets kicked back to you. So in other words, you have an invalid email address. I mean, really, industry standard is right around 2%. It really depends on whether or not you have a really well-established list or you have a list of some new opt-ins or some new names. Where are those leads or those emails coming from? That's going to really determine what your bounce rate is. Obviously, you want to drop that bounce rate down as low as you can, and you want to make sure that if you're having a lead provider or you're generating leads in a certain fashion, but you have a very, very high bounce rate on those leads, they're obviously not very good leads. So it's important, that's a really important metric if you're buying email lists or you're trying to generate email lists through different campaigns. Bounce rates will help you determine the quality and the validity of a lot of your addresses.
And the other thing is, being in front of your customers, communicating with them on a regular basis will decrease your bounce rate. And, having a process in mind also for those people who are perhaps, updating their email address to be able to update and renew the form of communication. The quickest way, because most people, are not going to be actually spending time on updating their information, is just getting something new that is worth opting in for in front of these people. And that's a great way of getting an updated email address and reducing their bounce rate as well.
So some of the key metrics you want to follow: open rates, stabilization, click-through rates, and bounce rates. Those are the 4 or 5 biggest metrics that we follow in our email marketing campaigns.
All right, Ralph, in our lights on, lights off section, we are actually going to talk about using multiple email providers. Why would you even want to use multiple email providers? Isn't one enough?
Well, you might think so, but there's a lot of reasons why we use multiple email providers, and we recommend you do as well. And the first is, let's say you, for whatever reason, you put all your eggs in one basket, right? The old adage, don't put all your eggs in one basket. What happens if you have a nice list you've accumulated over time, and your email provider suddenly shuts you off? Either whether it's warranted or not, they shut you off because they have the ability to do that. Now, you can't directly, you have all that set up, you have all your emails with that one provider. To transition them and get all your list back opted in, man, a huge pain in the neck, and it's going to cost you a ton of money.
Let me tell you, this happens more often than you would like to think. The other thing is also, you're going to have at least 2 variety of lists that you are communicating with, and we're talking really about, single opt-ins and double opt-ins, right? People who actually opt in to get information with you, and then people who will take that next step of double opting in and, clicking on a double opt-in link when you have communication. And in our business, what we like to do is we like to separate those 2 out and, use one email provider that is a little bit less strict on communicating with those with those people, and then use the other one, the other email provider with the double opt-ins, right? So that's generally the one that's a little bit stricter, but at the same time they may be offering another level of service or another features that will benefit your prospects and customers. So.
Yeah. The one company that we use that has the more difficult opt-in process, they have higher deliverability rates. So therefore we know that more of those emails are going to reach the customers that we want to reach. Whereas the other one that only requires a single opt-in, usually if we're getting a list from someone, we're not sure how good it is, we don't really want to upset our provider with our really good list, that will separate into 1 or 2 providers.
And the other thing to think about there is also, you don't want to be too aggressive on your email marketing on the platform where, let's say you're tracking all your customers, you're tracking all the sales, that's where your shopping cart is, etc., right? If you're using an integrated solution, besides the fact that you're not going to be able to market, you're not going to be able to conduct business if all of a sudden you get shut down.
Lights on, lights off, Conrad. What are we going to do here?
Absolutely lights on. You definitely want to have more than one email provider. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Hey, we're back. In your Get Off Your Ass segment today, we're going to talk about what you need to do to understand your metrics and really better understand your email marketing campaign as a whole.
And it's very simple. Most people actually have these features in their email service providers, etc., but never look at them. Right, so one of the first things you want to do is you want to get into the application that you're using to send out your emails and learn about it more. What options do they have? What can you see in terms of your open rates, click rates, etc.?
And one thing that really amazed me, and when I fell in love with email marketing, is the first time I sent out a mass campaign, I sat there and I watched the metrics, and I watched as I kept hitting refresh every 10 or 15 seconds, and I had 5, 10, 15, 20, 15, 30, 40 more people opening the email as you're going. How can you reach that many people that quick through one source that's cheap and effective like email marketing? That's when I fell in love. So make sure you're looking at your metrics, your open rates, your bounce rates, and like anytime you're looking at metrics or making an analysis, understand what's happening over time. So let's say you have a high bounce rate of 20% the first time out. Well, that's fine. That means you have a lot of bad emails. But make sure that starts trending downwards. You want your open rates and your click-throughs to be trending upwards, your bounce rates and your unsubscribes to be trending downwards.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. You know, the reason we track metrics is not necessarily to get a snapshot of what is happening, but to see trends in our business and make sure you're constantly improving. So, you know, so definitely follow that. You know, the other thing I like to do when it comes to tracking emails also is just looking at what subject lines work. You know, it's going to make a difference in terms of how many people are actually opening your emails, etc.
And one quick story on your get off your ass and why that's important. We sometimes will use semi-controversial subject lines to get people to open them, to pique their interest so they open our email and see what's going on. What's funny, when we have the most opens, we usually have a couple complaints that come in as well. So you just got to understand and see what your readers want. Make sure you're not getting a lot of unsubscribes, but you'll have a lot of opens. The occasional comment or two, well, you're not trying to please everybody, just your good customers.
Yeah, the bottom line is to get off your ass and start tracking what's going on. Start looking at your emails and what's working and what's not working for you.